If you're like me, you probably always carry a film point and shoot with you wherever you go, which means you take a lot of photos and spend a lot of money on film. But what if I told you you could get 4 times the amount of photos per roll? Really? I'm a sucker for cool 35mm point and shoots. Macari and eBay are my poison. And one day I stumbled across the Nickelodeon Photo Blaster. Well, this could be fun. At first glance, it looks like a half-frame camera. Come to find out, this thing is a half-frame of a half-frame camera. This looks kinda gimmicky. I bought it. Since we're trying to cut money on film, I might as well use this cut roll of bulk film. Loading up this camera properly can be a little bit tricky, so I'm going to show you some tips and kind of how I load it to make sure that it's working properly. And the first thing I do is open up this front cover right here, and you have to hear a click, because if you don't, then it won't let you fire the shutter, and the shutter is basically just going to help us keep advancing the film. If you look on the back of the camera, there's actually a child safety lock, and the way you open it is by getting 2 fingers and doing that so it pops open. So to load it, the first thing you do is pop out this rewind crank right here. You want to find where it fits in the grooves. Once you get it in, that lets you know that you have the film far enough down. On this spool, you'll see that there's little hooks, and now you can see this hook is kind of grabbing onto the film and it's not letting it go back by mistake. And then when you advance it, you'll see it move. But before I close the back door, you see this right here? What this is doing is this will press down on the film and make sure that when it's advancing, that the film stays in these sprockets. Once you get it in, you want to make sure that the top and the bottom are flush with the camera. So you don't want this sticking out a little bit or this top. I actually managed to do it first try, but sometimes it might be sticking out a bit. You don't want to force it too much, but just like press it and it should pop all the way down. So if I advance it, you'll see that this is turning, which is a good sign. That means that it's pulling the film. And then I can do some more. See, it didn't move because it's taking the second frame, and now it's moving again properly. Let's go shoot. The viewfinder's FOV is pretty small compared to other point and shoots, which makes sense because it's kind of working like a crop sensor. There's a koi fish.
These are only here for one reason. Wanna know why?
Why?
Food. This was the bench where this person used to sit and give them food.
The flash recharge time is about 4 to 5 seconds with fresh batteries. There's not really any way to turn it off besides covering it or taking out the batteries. I personally don't mind using the flash in daylight. Sometimes it just depends what you're shooting.
Doesn't seem to be winding anymore. Huh. I was like, I wonder why it's advancing so easy.
When I first started taking photos with the camera, it was a bit hard to advance, and then when I got to the park, sometime during that, it just became super easy, and I didn't actually think anything of it. I noticed that the counter wasn't moving for a while, and that I actually didn't see this thing turn anymore, which it was in the beginning because it was advancing. When I realized this, my friend and I went back to his truck, and I tried to create like a makeshift changing bag out of my black backpack and a black shirt he had, but it was rough. I tried to pop it open with one hand, but I realized that I wasn't really gonna be able to fix it because I didn't have a proper changing bag. So I closed the back of the camera up and I just rewinded the film, deciding to end the roll there. And when I got home, the camera wouldn't open anymore. I have no idea why, and it is now the next day and it still won't open. So I'm not exactly sure what to do. I'm gonna keep trying it to get the rollout, but it seems like I've hit a roadblock, a pretty big one. I did manage to get the camera open, load up another roll correctly this time, and shoot another roll. I am not sure if my scanner will like this. The question, is cropping a 35mm frame taken with a plastic lens down to 25% too far? In my opinion, it's good enough. For a plastic toy made for kids, it's a cool idea, but how much money could this save you in real terms? For general purposes, we'll use one roll of Portrait 400, which comes out to about $15 USD. We're going to need 4 of those rolls to get the same amount of photos, and that's going to come out to about $60. We're going to need to develop those 4 rolls with scans, and we don't want any prints. That's going to come out to about $67. And if we add those up, 60 plus 67, that's $127 for 144 photos. But with this camera, we only need 1 roll, which comes out to $15, and we only need to develop this 1 roll with the same options, and that comes out to about $36. So if we add those up again, 15 plus 36, we get $51 for 144 photos, the same amount. Sound appealing? You can take it even further in the long run by bulk rolling, developing yourself, or shooting black and white. I can see this working fine for social media, but if you're planning to send this to a lab, I wouldn't tell them that this is a special roll, because the spacing for scanning is still the same, and to save you some costs. You can keep them as a grid, or you can crop them individually, but keep in mind the quality of your scans will affect how this looks. This wouldn't replace some of my other point and shoots, but I see myself popping it out once in a while to create some cool images.